Hello everyone, welcome back to another Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous video, and today's video is very exciting. It's the official Camp Cretaceous teaser trailer of Season 5, which is confirmed to be the last ever season of Camp Cretaceous. I know, it's very unfortunate, however, we knew this was going to happen, or something of the sort was going to happen. But with the obvious success of Camp Cretaceous throughout all of these 4 seasons that have been released, I wouldn't be surprised if they do return to some sort of storyline that has to do with Camp Cretaceous later in the future, far deep into the future. But for today's video, we're focusing on the trailer breakdown for Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Season 5. Of course, I typically don't really go out that often, but the one time that I do actually go out, only for 30 minutes, the trailer drops. Typical on my timing. But without any further ado, let's get into the full breakdown and many Easter eggs and details that you might have missed regarding Camp Cretaceous Season 5's teaser trailer. So with the opening portion around 16 seconds long, we get a recap of what we got from each season. We got the boat from the Mosasaurus scene in Camp Cretaceous Season 1, we got the Main Street scene from Camp Cretaceous Season 2, and in Season 3 we saw the Scorpius Rex kitchen scene. Before we then get the title card of The Wait is Over. What does that exactly mean? Well, in my opinion, I believe that the wait is over, that these kids are finally going to be getting away and back to the mainland, off Isla Nublar and off Manticore Island. We're then greeted with a whisper of Darius saying 3, 2, 1, clearly counting down to do something, before it then cuts to a scene of him opening his eyes in terrible fear. After that previous scene, we then cut to a scene where they are running through the biodomes on Manticore Island. If you look carefully, you can see Yaz, Brooklyn, Ben, Darius and Sammy. Interestingly enough, there is no Kenji whatsoever. So clearly, as you guys can see later in the trailer, something went on with Kenji, and I believe I know exactly what's going to happen from a recent article and interview by the showrunner Scott Creamer. After this, they turn around and see that the biodome has some sort of warning sign. What exactly this warning sign is completely beyond me. We don't really have any idea of what's going on, but clearly they got away from that cliffhanger at the end of Season 4. So potentially, they could be locking down all of the biodomes so these campers stay within what seems to be the forest temperate biome within Manticore Island, and unfortunately they won't be able to escape. Again, noticeably, Kenji is missing, and that's the big detail here, since we did meet his dad at the end of Season 4. After this, we get a scene of what seems to be a cargo carrier boat, which seems to also be transporting some Manticore vehicles from the boat onto the dock, with other people and other new members of the cast joining Camp Cretaceous. Again, noticeably, as you guys can see, Brooklyn, Darius, Ben, Sammy and Yasmina are all together without Kenji whilst they are viewing such a thing happen. Next up, we get a scene where it shows what I can only assume to be Kenji's father holding some sort of walkie-talkie type of contraption, but he's looking at the map of Manticore Island. Within this map, we get the squares, which I can only assume are something to do with the Brads. I assume that's probably what they are. Not too sure what that is. Unfortunately, we don't really get any English subtitles to explain exactly what this is. But it's quite obvious that there is some facility on the left-hand side with what seems to be 5 biodomes if they were to be biodomes at all. That would match the swamp biome, the winter biome, the desert biome, the temperate biome, piece by piece and by number. So I can only assume that each biome is being shown here. After this, we get a montage of some dinosaurs that are returning. Clearly the Tyrannosaurus Rex is returning, being triggered by Manticore drones. We also then get to see Dilophosaurus. However, if you look at the Dilophosaurus from here, they are a little bit different from the Dilophosauruses we saw from Camp Cretaceous Season 4. Showing an image of the Dilophosaurus from Season 4, as you guys can see, they resemble the Dilophosaurus that we saw in the original Jurassic Park. But these guys don't. Their frill is actually more of a reddish pinkish colour, and they just look a little bit different and a little bit off in these scenes. Which makes me think that something is going on with the Dilophosaurus. They still have the same pattern, but they don't have the same colour scheme. And since we saw 7 of them with the original Jurassic Park colour scheme, I don't think this is any coincidence. I believe that something has changed in their genetics to create a red looking Dilophosaurus. Now the next scene actually depicts a Stegosaurus running towards what is obviously May from Camp Cretaceous Season 4 and some guy in a suit. What if I were to tell you that that guy in the suit is actually Kenji? Well, I assume because we see Kenji in a suit later on in the trailer, but it's clear that he is stuck in fear as the Stegosaurus runs towards him. And then this is where the trailer starts turning. it becomes more of a Pokemon type of game. It seems like Daniel Kahn has taken his found-ins with Cash from Camp Cretaceous Season 4 and put that study to good use. We can see the Spinosaurus, Carnotaurus, and also the Baryonyx line up together. But what is very interesting about this scene is that when we look at one of the mercenaries, they do actually look very, very similar to what we saw as a mercenary from Camp Cretaceous Season 3. Again, this could totally be something different. They could have just been using a reused asset here for another mercenary, but you can't doubt the fact that they are using these controllers here to control the dinosaurs. Now, looking at the dinosaurs, it's clear that the Spinosaurus is the same from Season 4. The Carnotaurus actually surprisingly looks like Toro the Carnotaurus after he got burnt. However, I can't really seem to see any sort of scar. And then obviously the other Baryonyx we see resembles a similar colour pattern to Grim the Baryonyx. But again, as we know, he passed away in Season 3. So I highly doubt that this is going to be the same Baryonyx, but something is going on here and could potentially be just some sort of PTSD flashback that Yaz was having from Camp Cretaceous Season 4. And then the next short scene is where everything changes. Everything changes in the Jurassic universe, not just Camp Cretaceous. Within this scene, you can clearly see that someone is holding the Barbasol can. Now, I'm not too sure who this someone is because they have a watch on the left wrist of their hand. So this could be absolutely anyone. As far as we know, absolutely no one from Camp Cretaceous has a watch on their arm. So I can only assume that a new character, or potentially Daniel Kahn or Cash, found this Barbasol can. Now, some people, myself included, would actually believe that this Barbasol can could be the same one that we saw from Jurassic Park when Dennis Nedry got killed by that Dilophosaurus. However, as we clearly know, that took place in 1993. Camp Cretaceous Season 5 is taking place within the year of 2016, so any embryos whatsoever did not survive from those years. But it's clear that something is going on with this Barbasol can, and something big is happening. We know Camp Cretaceous Season 5 and a discovery within Season 5 is going to be absolutely massive and be brought over to Jurassic World Dominion. Unfortunately, as we know now that Camp Cretaceous Season 5 is releasing on July 21st, which again, I believe it's a Thursday. Yeah, so it's actually releasing on a Thursday this time around, so not a Friday, which is very, very odd for Camp Cretaceous to do. Nonetheless, we know that something from Season 5 is going to appear in Jurassic World Dominion. Unfortunately, we're not going to understand what that could be until Dominion releases. But it's clear that the Barbasol can will be playing some sort of plotline here, and probably for the wider story within the expanded universe of Jurassic. Then we have a scene of Darius running away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex with 2 scars on its tail using some sort of tail whip. This actually could be a similar scene to what we saw from Season 5's first ever clip, way back in January of 2022. But the scene after that is where it gets very, very interesting. Reintroducing from Camp Cretaceous Season 3, Hawks is returning to Camp Cretaceous Season 5. We knew that his ending in Camp Cretaceous wasn't over, and that was simply because he had some sort of grudge against these kids, and clearly he was working for someone else. But what you guys probably don't realise is that the fact that he was working for Eli Mills and Dr. Wu, all of a sudden he's on Manticorp Island with a gun, which I can only assume is to tranquilize and probably chip these dinosaurs, similar to what we saw in Camp Cretaceous Season 4. He's now working for Manticorp instead. So he's been all over the place. But he's actually riding the Carnotaurus here, which actually seems a little bit burnt. In a blink and you miss it scene, it seems like a partial fragment of this skull of the Carnotaurus resembles a scar, and that scar could well be Toro the Carnotaurus, which means that potentially, I'm not confirming this yet since we don't know, but potentially they could have gone back to Isla Nublar to capture and wrangle some dinosaurs and bring them over to Manticorp. Because as I'm sure you guys are aware, there was no Carnotaurus within Camp Cretaceous Season 4. With the burned looking skin and potentially the scar on its face, I do believe that this could be Toro. As we know, it was only claimed that Toro was defeated, never killed, and a big dinosaur surviving a drop not even that big, I doubt that he would have even been killed just by that. So yes, Toro the Carnotaurus is most likely going to return in Camp Cretaceous Season 5, but we have to wait and see what happens. There's an action sequence with Sammy which seems to be jumping off some sort of waterfall, and then we get a really good blink and you miss it scene. We have somebody hopping off a boat here, ladies and gentlemen. But if you put your mind to it, you can kind of work out who this is teasing to. As we know, we assume that Darius' brother, after receiving the phone call in Camp Cretaceous Season 4, will be returning in Camp Cretaceous Season 5. Is this who I think it is? I assume so. This could be Darius' brother, Brandon Bowman, making his way to what I can only assume would be Manticorp Island, but there are a few tall mountains in the background that's making me think that maybe this is Isla Nublar. I highly doubt that a highly secure island like Manticorp will just let somebody jump onto the dock that isn't really authorized to be there. So my assumption, this could well be Brandon Bowman making a return in Camp Cretaceous Season 5. Next up we have the 5 campers, again no Kenji to be seen, running away from a Brad X. So a Brad X has been sent to them. And if you pause it at the right moment, you can see that the eye of the Brad X is red. So he is tasked to do something, which I can only assume is to capture these campers who are remaining. And then next up we get another scene referring way back to Camp Cretaceous Season 3. We were wondering exactly what is going to happen with the USB drive that got stolen with all of Dr. Wu's information on at the end of Season 3. Well, with it being absent in Season 4, it's now making a return in Season 5. What seems to be Brooklyn with her pink hair being chased down by the Spinosaurus, we can see that a USB falls out of someone's pocket, and that this USB rolls around in the dirt. There is no point to have a scene here where you blur out a magnificent dinosaur in the Spinosaurus and simply showcase and focus your cameras on the USB if it wasn't important. This USB is the same one we saw from Camp Cretaceous Season 3 with all of Dr. Wu's work on it. With Hawks now appearing on Manticorp Island and the campers still having the information, I'm not too sure what's going on there, but we could even potentially see Dr. Wu returning as well. Who knows? We have the return of the Pteranodons, and finally our first main showcase of Kenji in Camp Cretaceous Season 5. And yes, he's in a suit, so I can only assume that he made his way with his father to become some sort of CEO or somebody working for Manticorp, leaving his friends behind. As we know, we haven't seen him with his friends, fellow campers, at all anywhere within this season, so he's clearly on his own here. Yaz and Ben get chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex before we then have the Tyrannosaurus Rex facing us and chasing towards the camera. It's worth noting that it seems like the Manticorp drones are forcing this dinosaur to fight. So again, ladies and gentlemen, these dinosaurs are being forced to fight. I assume this is for the investors of Manticorp, as we know they were supposed to make a big deal about the investors and watching these dinosaurs fight before we got the reveal of Daniel Kahn. So I assume that the investors made their way on the island from the scene we saw earlier and now are watching these dinosaurs being forced to fight. And then we have the confirmation that the final season of Camp Cretaceous will be airing on the 21st of July 2022, which again is very odd considering that's a Thursday. Every single season has released on a Friday. Now that may have just been the trailer breakdown focused on Season 5's teaser trailer, but here we have an article from Entertainment Weekly confirming a few new details and a new interview with the showrunner Scott Creamer. This is what Scott Creamer had to say within this interview. In this final season, our camp family will be challenged like never before. They will face new threats, dinosaurs and otherwise. Relationships will be tested, bonds will be broken, and in some cases, changed forever. It's all been leading up to this. Even after everything our heroes have struggled to overcome over the course of the series, the odds against survival have never been greater. The danger has never been more real and the stakes have never been higher. Now the main thing I want to take from this is that there will be new dinosaurs according to this quote. So I can only assume that we'll be getting some sort of new species appearing in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Season 5. What type of species these are is yet to be confirmed. However, if the Barbasol can plays any effect in this, I believe that Metriacanthosaurus and also Proceratosaurus could be 2 new dinosaur species. That's only if the embryos within the Barbasol can survived from 1993. It's also worth noting that he says and claims that relationships will be tested and bonds will be broken, in some cases changed forever. What does he mean by that? I know some of you out there are probably worrying about the relationship between Kenji and also Brooklyn, but I don't think you have too much to worry about that when it comes to that relationship specifically. As I said, Kenji is nowhere to be seen within the campers throughout the whole of Season 5's teaser trailer. And as I'm sure you guys are aware of how Season 4 ended, something's going on here, and I believe that Kenji is leaving the campers behind to join his father in making sure that Manticore becomes one of the biggest companies in the world and also creates these dinosaurs to be able to make them fight. I don't know, this is just speculation for the time being, but I believe that's exactly what is happening. Now unfortunately, I know it's been a very long video, but that's where I'm going to have to wrap up today's video. We have broken down the teaser trailer for Camp Cretaceous Season 5, and it does look mighty exciting if you were to ask me. We have loads of new plot points, we have loads of new information, and we have loads of new excitement coming for this franchise. It seems like Season 5 is going to be setting up the larger Jurassic universe in a much more impactful way than we expected. I simply can't wait. Although we have to watch Jurassic World Dominion firstly, I assume there's a lot in Season 5 that will lead up to Dominion, and watching it and then watching Dominion again will start to make much more sense. But as for today's video, thank you so much for watching. If you happen to have enjoyed this video, feel free to press the like button and subscribe if you're new. But most importantly, make sure you're staying safe out there, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Hello, hi, you, did you enjoy the video? Just a little reminder to press that like button and also subscribe. I just want to thank my Patreons for this month on screen right here, as giving me that little extra support really does go a long way. But anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.